Hello, my name is Dr. Bernard Kwabi Addo. I'm going to tell you a story about why I believe the rural lifestyle is the best to avoid and eliminate chronic diseases. I grew up in Ghana, West Africa, and as a child would often vacation with my grandparents in the village. Lately, I have been reminiscing about those village experiences, and I'm truly fortunate to be able to compare time spent in the village with life in urban cities of Ghana, Europe, and the United States of America. I believe that those experiences, in combination with my profession as a cancer biologist, gives me some level of authority to conclude that when it comes to adopting healthy lifestyle in order to prevent chronic diseases such as coronary heart disease, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, and cancer, the rural lifestyle is our best option. Reflecting on the lifestyle habits of my folks in the village, I vividly remember that they were physically active. They walked everywhere, walked to fetch water about half a mile from the house, cut wood for fire, walked 3 miles to the farm, and worked all day cultivating, tilling the land, and harvesting crops, and at the end of the day carry foodstuffs back home. The diet was mostly plant-based. This was rich in complex carbohydrates, mostly tuber, fresh fruits and vegetables, and some consumption of fish and poultry. Crab meat, snails, and mushrooms were part of the staple diet. They did not consume too much red meat, as red meat was considered luxury food at the time, mostly reserved for big occasions such as Easter and Christmas. My family was well connected in the community. It was typical for church folks and friends to stop by the house without prior invitation to discuss some challenges on the farm, particularly if they were experiencing poor crop harvest, or just to chat about current affairs. I guess this was their form of stress management. What I did not like back then was the lack of electricity in the village. This meant that folks go to bed very early as 7 p.m. and woke up equally early at dawn when the cock crowed. This seems unfathomable today, to be going to bed at such an ungodly time. But I've come to realize that these villagers going to bed at sundown and waking up at sunrise were truly experiencing restorative sleep. The scientific communities know that exposure to too much artificial light can disrupt our circadian rhythm, and this in the long term can adversely affect our health. My folks spend very little money on healthcare. However, they use herbs for colonic irrigation as preventative measures and considered that a good gut health represented overall health. Now we appreciate the role of our good gut microbiome in avoiding sicknesses. They would also use herbs to cure fever, headaches, and other ailments. Consequently, it was common for people in the village to live well into their 80s and 90s with no heart problems or diabetes or cancer. And it is not too uncommon to have centenarians in some families, including my own family. The lifestyle of the village folks is similar to the blue zones of this world, where there are centenarians who are healthy, active, and vital members of their community. Clearly, the lifestyle choices of these individuals can be distilled down to the way they moved, how they handle stress, and what they ate and drank, and whether or not they feel a sense of belonging and purpose. Overall, their default lifestyle is making choices that decreases the risk of chronic diseases and increase well-being and longevity. Fast forward to folks living in the big cities of Accra, London, and Washington, D.C., for example, and have adapted the modern Western lifestyle of fast foods or high caloric dense and ultra-processed foods padded with sugars, salt, and fats, as well as those who have adapted sedentary lifestyle, begin to present chronic diseases as young as 30 or 40 years old. Clearly, the high incidence of these diseases is predominantly due to our lifestyle choices. The idea is not to go and live in the village or some rural parts of the world, but to learn from the lifestyle of this rural living and modify our own lifestyle in order to reduce the risk to many of these chronic diseases. If we choose to change our habits, our communities can potentially become like the blue zones of this world. What if you already have chronic disease, such as cardiovascular disease? There is scientific evidence to show that patients who have severe heart disease and who have been put on low-fat, whole foods, plant-based diet showed increases in their blood flow that makes their symptoms disappear in as little as 3 weeks. Yes, that's right. People who have been told they were out of options and used dietary lifestyle therapy in just 3 weeks saw significant improvements in their blood flow. Similar observations have been reported for type 2 diabetes, whereby plant-based dietary therapy can reverse the condition in as little as 16 days. So the good news is that we can change the health paradigm in our communities of chronic diseases right now with tools that we already know to be effective. Healthy plant-based diets, physical activities, social connectedness, stress reduction, avoidance of tobacco, and restorative sleep. These can bring us both long health span and lifespan.